channel, like and subscribe. If you have been here before, today we're not on court cases. So just so you know, I'm going to keep the mama and the drama hosted today. Actually, it's nice to have a moment of silence. It's nice to not know what the hell's going on with her for a second, to not be being chased around with that for a second. We have about 10 days before another one of them is inbound. The uncle will get released from incarceration, and then the fucking chicken fight can keep going. This episode, this particular live that I'm doing right now, is for those of you who are the stay at home mom, those of you who are the returning to work college graduate, those who took a break and need to go back, but you don't know how long your break is going to last. So, job hunting is one of the most painstaking, soul crushing, just mentally defeating processes that any of us can think of. I don't know a single person who enjoys looking for a job. I don't know anyone who likes the process of going through applications and rejection letters and emails and notifications and blah, blah, blah. I don't know anyone who likes it. But fear of it is not a reason not to get up in there. I think that if we used to have a thing for like resumes, teach you how to make a resume, teach you how to do that. Okay, well, a resume is useful, right? A resume is basically a list of your merits in short order. But if you just use the platform Indeed, if you live in the United States, this is a fact. All employers use Indeed, even if it's for the short version, just to find who's in the pile. Then they'll have you like apply to the internal site or go and do it in person. But literally 99% of them are using Indeed or Glassdoor, and sometimes every now and then ZipRecruiter. But those job boards are the main ones that the employer themselves goes to post an opening and goes to check and see if there are applicants. Now, here's the problem. Here is the problem with those job board situations. The problem is it used to be the local person goes into this shop and they apply and then they hire locally to semi-locally. Well, now with it being a job board, anyone from anywhere can apply to anywhere, right? So instead of having maybe 100 people apply to a certain job, there are 3,000 people applying to a certain job and it's coming from anywhere. So what you want to do when you're trying to do resumes, especially for something like Indeed, and this one is specific for Indeed. I have had a lot of behind the scenes time in the office, if you will, to see the hiring process, and I've also been the person on the other side trying to get the job. Right now, I'm speaking as a person trying to get the job, but I've also been in the office enough to know how they're grading it, how they're using it. So, keywords. When you use Indeed or ZipRecruiter or Glassdoor, the keyword for the job that you're applying to, like say it's dietary aid, even if your resume has previous experience as a cook, you want to make sure that you apply with the most relevant job and that the most relevant job title is changed to dietary aid. It's in the wording. Whichever application has the most keywords that match is what floats your resume to the top. Hello, darlings. So say I wanted to do pet clinic or veterinarian assistant. If I put veterinarian assistant, but the job board says pet clinic, you want to change the keyword to pet clinic. That way yours will float to the top, right? It's not about your skill set. It's not about how long you've done it. They're not spending more than 15 to 20 seconds to look at any given resume. And that's even at top shelf jobs because they know what their qualifications and requirements are for that job. So they assume that most applicants are meeting those requirements and only the ones that are just completely tossed out are the ones that don't get looked at. If you feel like you've been looking for a job in a certain category for a very long time and it's just not coming to, try to shorten up your resume. Try to not minimize, because minimizing is like you're taking stuff off that's needed. You want to summarize your resume. Indeed has a good template for resumes. So when you use that template, it helps you put it in order. It's best if you use the bullet points, like state the job, the address, the employer's name, and then instead of all your skills and everything you did, you put bulletin points. Unloaded freight, did warehouse, use forklift. That's it. You don't want to put more than that, especially if you're trying to take a job that's just forklift certified. You don't have to overdo the resume. It doesn't need to be perfect, and there's some jobs you should leave off of it. If you have like big gaps in your work history, these little resumes make it look better because it's side by side. You want to fill in the gaps. Honestly, if you have gaps in your work history, you want to fill in the gaps. And I don't care if you say that you did lawn work, child care, house care, if you were taking care of your own house, paid or not. The work that you did in between jobs was home care, child care, whatever, whatever. You're always working it, just you're not always paid for it. So, starting out with your resumes, you want to get it down to a single page. You don't need a 3 and 4 page resume because ain't nobody spending time on that. What they're going to do is pull it up, and it's going to be about the size of the screen you're looking at right now. And whatever details is inside that short list is what they're looking at. And if they don't see what they want in that short list, it's next, next, next. So your best bet, if you are having to use a resume, is one, use Indeed's template to build your resume. Then download said resume, like to your phone, to your computer. That way, even if you're not on Indeed anymore, when you go to other jobs, internal sites, and it says upload resume, you could take the one that you got from Indeed, preset, pre-made, easy to move around, like JPEG, right? You don't have to try to change what you're using to get this circulated. So you use that resume, download that, keep that template, and then use that on your other jobs. Now, say you're going to go apply in person. You want to keep your shit straight here, especially if you had some funky history. Okay, with your template, your resume, your Indeed resume, you take that same digital resume and you actually write it down. You write it down, job for job, employer's name, location, phone number, and your details. That way, when you go in person or you get called to the workplace, like say you do get an interview and they want you to come in and fill out an application, that's not the time to be tripping over your words. That's the time you take out your little mini cheat sheet, your handwritten one, and you copy down exactly what it says. That way everything lines up the same. There are no slips and trips, there's no gaps in your statements, right? Sorry. I've had lots of jobs. I've had a lot of seasonal jobs. I've had a lot of temporary jobs. Just because you've had a lot of jobs doesn't mean you won't get hired somewhere. As a matter of fact, a lot of places see high turnover and they're more willing to hire someone who's had quite a few because you're flexible and because you can go with the flow. Because if they say it's over in 3 months, you can be all right with that. It's not being transient, but not every job lasts forever. And if you're really, really struggling because you have something criminal on your record or you can't pass a drug test or something is going on, take one of those seasonal jobs. Take one of those cash paying jobs, just something that doesn't really require much of you except to pay you for the work that you've done, day laboring. And until you get some of that built up to where you've got a little bit of job history, if that's what's wrong, if you don't have any job history, go for entry level. Go for, I would not intern, guys. If you don't have to, I wouldn't intern. And the problem with some of the hiring services, I really don't care for them, some of the employment services, they get you a job, you get hired to that job, and then whatever amount you get paid, X amount you get paid, the company who got you that job also gets X amount of pay off your work. Say you make 15 an hour, they keep 5, you actually only make 10 an hour, and the temp service makes the 5 an hour. That's crazy shit. I don't do middlemaning for a job. But if it has to be that way, it has to be that way. If you can't get in on your own, you're going to have somebody vouch for you to get in, right? Don't be too cool to be a maid or a cook or a janitor or whatever. You know that being a janitor at a school is a government job. You know that working at the post office as a floor waxer is a government job. You know working at a hospital as a broom pusher gives you full coverage insurance. There's lots of places people don't want to work. It's not that they're not able to work. It's that they don't feel that caliber is for them or that they're going to meet that standard of requirement. No job is as hard as it sounds like it is. And truthfully, at the moment, everything is kind of customer service. If you can deal with people, you can have a job. If you can tell them, I'm sorry, let me help you find that, or I'll go get them, you can have a job. If you know how to watch children, old people, do dishes, you can have a job. It's a matter of how you see yourself and where you see yourself going. Now, it's not wise to take a job that basically is costing you to work there. And what I mean by this is some of the Uber jobs, some of the DoorDash jobs. It's your gas going back and forth to these places. And if your tip is only $3 or nothing because they tip the app and they don't have to tip you, you're burning every single dollar you make in that gas delivering to other customers where you're still not even making up the money. Those are side jobs. By definition, those are side jobs because you are the one kind of funding the overall expedition. Hello, loves. This is the returning to work edition. There are lots of tips and hints. Most of all, it starts with good habits. It starts with getting getting the mindset that you're ready to do this. Getting the consistency of even if I don't want to, I can do it every day. Even if it's not the job I saw myself having, it is a job I need. Don't be better than the program. Do not be better than the program because if you won't humble yourself and you're just holding out for management position, you'll never have a job. Even with a degree. I have multiple certifications. Those certifications I got do not apply to anything I'm doing now except to serve as backup. Like, I have my guard card, I have my security guard license, but I'm a pediatrics preschool teacher, so I'm not having to guard the building while I'm doing preschool. So you may have certifications that don't apply to where you're working. You may find out that some of the paid training jobs are exactly where you should go. If you're lacking in skill set or a marketable skill, paid training is the way to go. I took paid training for being a guard. It doesn't take that long. I learned some real fun shit, not just gun safety. I learned how to run and shoot. I learned how to shoot from the ground, learn to shoot from my opposite hand, learn how to like shoot with my eyes closed type shit. And this was to be a security guard for a gate pass at a food company. We just had to have ICE raids a lot. That happens. And just in case there's an active shooter or a runner or blah, blah, blah. There's a lot of stuff. Also worked at the casino. And I did just buffet cashier. There was no need to have my extra certifications. But because I worked in food and beverage, I got my safe serve and my, what's the other one? In two different states, it's two different licenses for security, but I ended up getting both, and a food and beverage one. Now, all three of those do not apply to the job I do now, which I had to take extra classes for, get different certification for, be a student. You're never done learning. There's nothing to run out of to learn. If you don't like what you're doing now, you could easily be doing something else. You may just have to build a skill set for it. It's never too late. It's never too late to pick to do something else. Just because you started out one direction, the thing with pediatrics, I started that in May. And if you watched my other videos, when I started in May, that's when my lunatic mother hopped out of the hospital on me and threw herself on me. And she became such a danger and such a threat. I actually had to resign from preschool for the summer so I could be home with my kids to protect them from my mother, who was just all over. She was war all summer long. She's finally caused herself to be dealt with, but I no longer have guardianship of her and she no longer can be around me. So that was sad. That was difficult. I'm obviously wired to be a caretaker. I wouldn't be in the positions that I'm in. It's kind of my nature. But you can come to a point where all the people that you've helped are doing nothing but hurting you, and you have to look them in the face, or you have to take them to court and you have to say, I will not help you anymore. You are not an actual child. You don't actually need me. Some people are forcing ideas and opinions on you and making the gravity of the situation a lot worse than it is. In reality, you're responsible for you, and that's it. Don't expect anyone else to be responsible for you, and don't be upset when others don't live up to your expectation when you're making them responsible for you. If you're a child or a teenager, I apologize because there's not a lot you can do. There's not a lot of options. There's not a lot of outlets. There's not a lot of opportunities that aren't kind of skeezy and under the table. And I will be honest, if you're between 18 and 30 in the United States specifically, you're going to get fucked, dude. I'm sorry. You're going to be the effing new guy all the way through. You're going to be disrespected from 18 to 30 years old. They're going to keep acting like you don't know what you're talking about. They're going to keep putting you on the bottom rung. They're going to make you the grunt. They're going to make you the new guy. They're going to continuously make you do the shit work no one wants to do. But somehow, by the time you're 30, it's like, well, we believe you. I mean, you've lived this long. You must have some kind of authority. But until then, and I'm serious, they don't look at it like young people are potential. They look at it like young people got to be stopped. They'll not be taking my position. So I don't care how hard you work. You're going to be the assistant manager. I don't care how late you stay, how early you get there, and how many you help while you're there. You're going to have to eat a certain amount of crap in a certain age group, right? And then from about 30 to 45, you got free reign. They pretty much believe you. Your body's in prime condition to do it. You've got the muscle memory for it. You've got the expertise for it. They just let you go and trust you. That's not to say that everybody who's already in that position knows what the hell they're doing, because they don't. They know what they've gotten away with so far. So you could be in stark contrast. And if you did end up being a manager and you were under 30 years old, I also want to apologize for the old crocodiles that always bite your head off acting like they shouldn't have to answer to a kid. Well, one, you're not a kid. You're in a position of responsibility over others. Two, they couldn't handle that responsibility. That's why they're not in the position. They're not dedicated to it. It would help if we had younger people being the manager. It would help if we had younger people being the assistant managers, because honestly, they're not going home to kids yet. They have the time to put in. The manager who's got the kids, who's always got to run off and go pick them up from school, and they got to do the bank drop, and they got to blah, 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 blah. There's always that. And they're always leaving the younger person, the more agile, the virile person, they're always putting the younger person in the position of having to do more work, while the older person is trying to ride the coattails and saying it's the other way around. That is a very defeating process. It makes it feel like when that uneven workload is happening and you want to tell a supervisor, it's the supervisor doing it to you, so who do you tell, right? And it basically leads to burnout, to where even if you liked this job and you were trying your best, you're putting your best foot forward, you showed up every day, came early, stayed late, but you're being taken advantage of. You're doing unpaid work. They have fired 3 people since you started and hired no one back. Now you're just doing 3 more people's jobs. It's that imbalance that's actually creating such a hostile work environment. It's making people walk off the job. It's making people say it's not worth it. I will not pay to work there. And those are the terms you have to think about it in, because when you're trying to get a job, especially if you already have a certification, this is heartbreaking, because you may be well qualified to do a lot, but you could not find something in your field. So you have to take what feels like a lesser station. Is it really a lesser station? Or is it just something you do not want to do? You feel like you've already moved past it, because sometimes you got to go backwards to go forwards. And it's a shitty feeling. There are certain fields where the information is constantly changing. To the people in their 20s, this is the best advice I have for you in your 20s. Get a thicker skin. They think you are coming for their spot. They think you want the same shitty life they already had. They think you want the same privileges that they had. We're not even getting basic rights because they kind of already burnt up the privilege section, right? And so we're left in the fallout. And we're left in a fallout that they will not admit to creating. That leaves the 20 and 30-year-olds cleaning up a mess we didn't even help make. It was there when we got there. They're blaming us. They're pretending we squandered something we were never given, and we have to do it the hard way. Now, if we turn back the page of time a little bit, say about 80s to 90s, we were flourishing, a worldwide flourishing. NAFTA got involved, the National Free Trade Agreement. It means a business can move out of your country to another country that's willing to sell the product for cheaper. So a lot of our industries moved out of our country of origin to somewhere else that would do it for cheaper. Now, historically speaking, they would hire the 20-year-olds for this. They would take us right out of high school, summer breaks. They would hire us for summer break, then do the layoff on the after summer break was over. And a lot of these companies and corporations did great because it wasn't seasonal, but it was seasonal. They'd amp up their work supply in the summertime. They'd hire the 18-year-olds, the 20-year-olds in the summer, and mass produce as much as they could. Everybody would be getting paid overtime all summer long. Then they have a semi-shutdown, like August, September, and that's going into their fall season. Well, they start selling that inventory. They don't have to hire more people. They hire their regular amount of workers. And they let the summer stock go back. The regular workers are just putting out and possibly doing slight repairs or modifications to the parts that were already mass produced by the younger group. They're fine tuning it. Okay, then you get to about October. They're real shitty in October. they start doing layoffs of everybody, saying that production has slowed down. What they mean is they've used up the majority of their stock and they're not going to sell a lot in the wintertime, so they don't need as many workers either. So mass produce, slow it down, fine tune it, cut more people off, take a skeleton crew, have that skeleton crew finish pushing out what's left. And they don't give a damn. They don't give a damn how short-handed they are. They will not hire anyone again until February, which is the end of the fiscal year, not physical, fiscal, like your taxes. So basically, they take all that inventory, sell it out, and then they write off whatever they lost or couldn't sell by February, and then that's when they start hiring again into February, March, spring breakish, right? And they go for those teenagers again. If you were in your 20s, the best jobs you can do are paid training. You can just keep stocking and stacking your skills. The 20-year-olds right now have an opportunity to do something the rest of us haven't had because we didn't know it wasn't built yet, kind of thing. Go digital. Go digital. The future is online. It's not going anywhere. Brick and mortar is pretty much dead, and unless you build a building to fix computers, I don't think it's going to work out. You're the first group. We are the first group who has to have this be where it's built. This has to be, it's where it's going. So how do we make jobs online? How do we work online? How do we work from home and still have social lives? How do we work from home and be taken seriously? How do we work from home and not get mental illness? Right? If you are in your 20s, you need to be around your own peer group. And something weird happens between age 18 and like 21 because you can't drink. So you're out of school and now suddenly there's nowhere for you specifically to be. You're no longer a teenager, but you're not old enough to drink. So there's this weird gap between like 18 and 21 where you just have nowhere to be and you don't know where your friends went. And it seems like everyone branched out. Maybe they went to school, maybe they didn't. Some had babies, some went to jail, and some died. If you're from where I'm from, the 20-year-olds and the 30-year-olds are fucking dropping like flies. Because in their depression, they're doing drugs and the drugs are killing them. Like that. It didn't used to be like that. It used to actually take something to have an overdose. There's a drug out now. It's called the kiss of death. Just as soon as someone's breathed in your face, you're dead. You don't even have to agree to do it. You're dead. So watching our youth drop faster than our senior population is startling. It's horrifying. Maybe go into the medical field so that you can save other people in their 20s. Maybe go into research and development to figure out where we're headed because we're the front end of fixing the problems they've already created. Their group not only avoided responsibility, they also avoided any kind of solution to it. So one, just keep denying it like it didn't happen. And two, make it worse. We're not going to get out of it. We've got a lot of time ahead of us. And we're kind of inheriting a giant ass smoking ball of shit. So first things first, let's call it a smoking ball of shit like it is. Second thing, let's not be blaming each other. We didn't do this. This is how we found it. Being honest, being open, and being understanding of each other because you know how hard it is to not have a job? You know how hard it is to have to still live with your parents in your 20s? You know, it's crushing. You're being told that's not right. Meanwhile, economically, it's not supporting you to go live on your own. It's not supported. Your parents can't afford to live on their own together. You can't afford to live on your own with a roommate. How many people? Okay, it's this bad. I live in a 4-person household. 2 are kids and 2 are adults. Even with 2 jobs, both adults need 2 jobs. So we need 4 jobs between us to support 4 people because basically we would need our 2 kids to have a job for it to work out. It's stupid. You just need to know that the odds are against you. That's what you do need to know. You need to quit thinking that it's something you're doing wrong and not an overall problem. It's an overall problem. This is not, you're not a fuck up. You haven't done something wrong. It hasn't passed by you. It just looks very, very different than it did for our parents. It looks very, very different than it did for their parents. And I think the best solution is going digital, is trying to find out what we need here. It's trying to find out how this can serve us better instead of attack us. Because right now, all we really use social media for and the internet for is doom scrolling, shit starting, politics, divisiveness, and complaining, trolling, I guess. I'm not really sure. And then sometimes we use it as creative outlet. Sometimes we use it as just stress management. My channel started out from stress management, but during the trials and tribulations, I've actually gone through a shit ton of material that I feel like is useful to others. I'm not far enough into the game to say what it's like in your 40s, but I do know what it's like into your 30s. I remember my 20s very clearly. They sucked. They were fucked up. They were horrible. I gained a lot of skills. I worked a lot of different jobs. I watched a lot of children that weren't mine. And then I had my own kids. When I was 26, I had my own child. If you were pre-kids, try to stack your money up. If you were post-kids, try to be what you did not have. Try to be what it is that you were needing. We don't necessarily know how to verbalize what it is that we're needing, but you remember the feeling. So if you have a child, young or not, if you're in your 20s with a baby, you're young enough to withstand anything. You are young enough to grow up with that kid. You're young enough to be on duty to explore and engage with them. If you don't have children, but you are in your 20s, if you know other young people who have kids, try to be a friend, because this is something no one ever talks about. Those with kids and those without kids. Boom. It's an immediate divide. Like, well, it's kind of not fun for me to be drunk at your house at midnight when your baby goes to sleep at 9. I know. But if you just completely stop being someone's friend because they have a baby, when it's your turn to have a baby, their kid will be 3 or 4 years old and your kid will be brand new, and you'll be wanting that community and that sense of connection, and it will not be there. That's something no one talks about. It's like the two branch off. It's kids or careers. There's people with kids and careers. There's people who start their career late. There's people who raise their kids first, then have a career, then have kids. You can do it whichever way you want. Just be mindful that for as hard as it is on you, they're even younger. They have even less of an outlet. They have even less control over the situation. Little kids have to just suffer whatever we give them, and that has to be good enough. There's nothing else they can do about their situation. Teenagers, there's some programs you can do that are always about your future, and that will help keep you busy and engaged. But just remember, there's always someone younger than you needing help too. So if you can't think of anything else to do with your time, if you can't think of any other positive thing to do, please help a child. Play with the little kid outside, because they need it. They need the connection, the human to human. If you see a senior citizen sitting on their porch alone, out checking their mailbox by themselves, just be cordial. Just say hi. Connect with people. You don't have to go hug them or touch them or take them dinner or anything. It's just, we're having a real hard time connecting right now. Since things are getting rougher and more discombobulated, instead of trying to cling to something that isn't working, the best thing to do would be to admit to each other, this is really, really fucking hard, and I'm not being able to figure it out. I'm not doing well with this. I don't feel good. My thoughts are hurting. I feel defeated. And it happens a lot. I mean, you can only take a rejection so many times before you feel like there's no place for you in the world. It's kind of like how content creators talk about on YouTube. Well, you can have 1,000 positive comments, and one negative one will make you freaking tie pantyhose around your neck in the bathroom later, right? It's dangerous to your mental health. Well, when you're looking for a job and you have the pressure of your parents being like, you're 25 years old, you need to move the fuck out. When are you going to work and get your shit together? Well, first off, you've been looking for a job. Second off, you don't feel qualified for anything. And third, they're breathing down your neck as if you're going to hold someone at gunpoint for a job. It's not realistic. The pressure makes you more manic and frantic, and then while you're just wildly applying to jobs, any and everything, you more often than not end up in a job that provides you the exact same energy as to which you were looking for it in. If you were manic and stressed out when you were looking for the job, the energy of that job is going to be manic and stressed out. If you were depressed, you were down, you're just, I don't care, that job is going to be that. It's like every day you walk in, you'll just be glued to the floor. It's an oppressive heat. Not that you have to be the mascot and the cheerleader for work life. It's just attitude is everything. Attitude is absolutely everything. And not every day is a good day. Not every day is a good day. So say you had to take, say you did 3 online applications. And today when you get up and you check your email, all 3 got back to you. But I'll need to tell you no thank you. We'll be moving on in the process. And by the time you get to that 3rd one, you don't even want to look at the screen anymore. You definitely don't want to get back on the job search. You don't want to talk about it or think about it again. You would like to do anything that would be get away from those rejections. because you feel like, why try? I already did, and they only answered me back to say no. Yes, well, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, so you have to endure. One of the best ways to get yourself to keep doing this thing, no matter how crunchy and grindy it really is, like how painstaking it is, one of the most effective things you can do, you got to make it your job to find a job. Somebody always said it, and she's right. You got to make it your job to find a job. So basically, you're living in the mindset before you have it. You make yourself get up at a certain time of day. You do your routine. You have your coffee. You get your shower. You wash your face. You brush your teeth. It's just like you were going to be heading out the door to work. You want to do this early because trust me, the manager's ass is not there after 12 afternoon. If they come in at 6, they're going to have to do paperwork for about an hour or two. You're going to wait till about 8 a.m. And you want to catch them between 8 a.m. and 11 a.m. because 12 is lunch. Right when they first get there, they need to check their emails and their directives. Then after that, they want to check and see, do I need to hire someone? How's inventory? Blah, blah, blah. That's the time they have for that. While they're coming and checking in is the time for you to get their attention. Hey, is the manager in? You do not want to make the mistake of taking an actual physical application and just handing it to someone and saying, I'd like to turn this in. If they're not the hiring manager, don't give it to them. It's about to get stuffed under the table, under the cash register, in the drawer, in the file. It's not going to get seen again. Don't do that. Make sure you're being seen because you want to make an impression on the hiring manager. The point is you want FaceTime with them. You want them to see you, get a feel for you, and see if you match the job that you're applying for. Otherwise, you can hang it up. If you call after 12, unless it's for a second shift job, that manager does not see you as somebody who gets up early, not somebody who's on time, not somebody who's prepared. They see you as somebody who waits. They see you as somebody who procrastinates. They see you as somebody who comes in late. So they're not as prone to calling you back. It's the person who's bugging them as soon as they get there. They're like, damn, man, I'm barely here. Why are you already calling me? That's how you get it. And if it's kind of an ongoing thing and you talk to them on, say, Friday of the week before, and they say, well, I've got all your information. I'll call you. We'll give you a call back, blah, blah, blah. You have to wait the whole weekend. You know they're not there on the weekend. Monday rolls around. You're still stressed and anxious. You're wanting it to be now. I need an answer now. But in reality, remember, it's Monday and people can't stand Mondays. They're not ready to get back to work. They barely drug their ass back into their desk and sat down for a minute. Monday's not a good hiring day. It's a good day to call and get your foot in the door. It's not a good hiring day. They're not going to remember a lot of the information you talked about. However, if you can at least get an answer on Monday, you go back on Tuesday. You give it a decent amount of time. You wait till 9 or 10 in the morning, right after they've gotten started, but before lunch. You call again and you say, hey, it's me. This is the reminder. I don't mean to bug you, but I was trying to see. Okay, well, it's the squeaky wheel that gets the oil. You making all that noise about it is going to make them remember you because you keep on coming up, right? Okay, after Tuesday, if you've managed to talk to them on Tuesday, they're like, I know if I don't talk to you, you're going to call me again tomorrow. Right? That's what you want them to think because you're being persistent. Then, if they say, okay, I'm interested, I will look at your resume, give me a little bit. Don't call the very next day. If they don't call you, don't call them. On Thursday, whether they have called you or not, Thursday is the day to finalize the details. Thursday is the day to get your interview locked in. Thursday is the day to make sure you got all the details down because by Friday, they're ready to go home. Friday's not a good day for hiring either. Friday is the day they fire people. Friday is the day that they are least likely to have someone come back and shoot up the building for being fired because they got their paycheck and they're released. They're not so upset. So they tend to fire people on Fridays. You're not going to get hired on a Friday. All you can do is remind them, I'd like to see you by Monday of next week. So basically, pay attention to the natural cycles. Pay attention to the ebb and the flow of your society. If your trash day is on Tuesday and your recycling day is on Wednesday and Ernie comes by with cookies on Thursday, okay, so that's how your whole neighborhood functions. You want to try to go with that flow, not against it. You don't want to try to call on a Monday and force your way in where they forget about you and you wait till Friday and they're too busy to deal with you again. Then you've waited 2 weeks and got nowhere, right? There is definitely a rhyme and a reason to it. There's a way to do it and a way not to do it. So I have a few more days. I did this one live stream because I had more of a chance to connect this way than I will later. But next week, I'm going to do a series. I'll do one each night and then I'll upload it the next day. I'm going to do a series on career building, on skill building, on job hunting, on trying to keep your calm while navigating choppy seas. The future is different than the past, and so we're going to have to come up with something in between. You're not alone, though. You are not alone. I just went from doing pediatrics to working from home for the last 2 months, and it's been it's been hell, okay? It has not been fun. It doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel like, oh, because you can work from home, you never have to leave. Motherfucker, it means you're never off work either. Working from home. Think of this. If you're thinking of working from home, your home becomes your job, and your job becomes your home, and the two are never separated. You always bring your work home. Your work is at home, and your home is your job. So you feel like you can never clock out, and you can never take a break, and you're always there. It's awful. Really, really think about it before doing work from home. I don't care if you do online work. Pick a space. Make an office. I will talk about this later. One space, one function. You cannot work from home in your living room. Okay, that doesn't work either. All right, friends. I'll be back with some tips and some life hacks after this. I gotta go make lunch. Get you a planner. Get a planner, friends. These dudes keep track of so much. You don't have to try to remember every phone call and every detail and every address and the yayas. If you will get you a large desk calendar where you can write inside the square, not your phone, because your phone is a goddamn rabbit hole. If you put stuff on the calendar in your phone and you put stuff in the notes in your phone, the problem is you have to open the phone to find it, and every distraction in the world is in your phone. So the minute you open it to find it, you already accidentally went to YouTube. You already accidentally went to TikTok. You already accidentally went to Spotify. Like, you meant well, but since you went towards your damn phone, you got distracted. Like, 5 minutes phone time is 15 minutes real life time. You think you were on there for a few seconds and you just burnt an hour on accident. Avoid the scrolling. Avoid the scrolling. Stick to the script. Remember what you came for. You have to treat the internet like it's a giant ass shopping mall and you're not here to window shop. You're here to go what you came for and leave, right? You don't need to buy a bunch of extra shit on the way out. It's hard to get your focus, especially when you've already gotten to the point of feeling a bit defeated. It's hard to get back up off the ground when you feel like no one wants me and it's not going to work and it's not going to get better and I really need the money right now, and the stress is gripping you, putting you in a pressure cooker and actually creating even more resistance to you getting gainful employment or skill building or anything along those lines, because the fear has you frozen in place. It's okay. We will get through it. I've got tips for that too. Until next time, friends, I love you. I hope that something, if not a lot, in this video helped. We can work together and we can work past this, but we're just going to have to find better ways to work. It only works if you work it. So it's going to take the many hands to make the world go round. It's worth opening the floor for discussion so that we can really point out what the problems are and then maybe fix that. For now, the problem is feeling like you don't have it in to do it again, but you do. You do, whether you've never done it before or you're having to go back